Hello. Good morning. Coffee's still draining through. Come on. It's Monday. It's Monday. It's Monday. And it's coffee time. First cup of coffee time. And here we go with the show in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday. It's October. I had to write this. 19th, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Yeah, it's funny. When I write the title of the show, of course, the date goes in the title, and yet there are days that I still, within the 5 minutes or so that takes, I forget what the date is. Because it's early and I'm sleepy, I want to go back to bed. Even though I got plenty of sleep and slept well, went to bed at a reasonable hour. It still happens. My first cup mug is in the dishwasher. I haven't washed it yet, so I'm using this mug, this handmade mug that my mom gave to me a few years ago. I think actually this might predate first cup. But it's a big mug. It takes more coffee to fill, which is not a bad thing. More coffee is usually a good thing. Well, today's a big day. Well, let's start with the weekend. How was the weekend? Weekend was great. Had a really good time. Spent time with friends on Saturday night. Friday night, Friday, the whole trip to Boston went really well. Client stuff went well. Got back really late. Not really late. Got back after 9, so late. That was the day. Saturday, did I go to the gym? I feel like I did. Went to the gym on Saturday. It's fairly rainy. Much of the weekend. Yesterday was really nice. Spent most of the day cleaning the car in preparation for the lemon law hearing. And Wednesday they do a visual inspection. They take the car for a drive, see if they can replicate the problems. They won't with mine. But yesterday was all about the lemon law junk for my stupid car. I've got a binder with hundreds of pages printed out, just relevant things. And that's what we're doing at 9. And that's the main thing that I gotta do today. I have no idea how long it's gonna take. Thank you. Gabe says, praying your hearing goes well. I hope so too. I don't know if I would rather it be in person, but it's over Zoom. Well, not Zoom, it's Microsoft Teams, but same thing. But it is. So we'll see how it goes. I spent a bunch of time yesterday reviewing my opening statement, my closing statement, and I felt like I was back in debate prep in high school. I've got pages listed out of, oh, they're going to argue this. This is what I say in response. Other than that, I got a bunch of email and a bunch of other project-y stuff that I got to deal with. So it's going to be a busy day. Hopefully I'll get out to do something after. You know what I really miss? I miss sparring. I really do. I miss kicking people and having them kick me back. Maybe sometime soon. You know, I just think it would be a fun drill. Imagine a bunch of people sparring. I mean, you can't do this anywhere with restrictions right now, but imagine you've got a bunch of people sparring. You know, let's say 10 or 20 pairs of people. And they're not going full tilt. They're going 60%, you know. Tons of control, maybe even slower than that. but you've got them in a fairly small space. And then you announce switch. Kind of like in some formalized dance. And they have to turn to somebody really close to them and just start sparring with as little time in between as possible. You just instantly flow from one person to the next. And you just go. And then as you get more advanced with that, you could let the people sparring dictate when they switch. So I'm sparring with you and we're doing our thing. And then we get close to a group over here and we just kind of like, I make eye contact with you, my partner, and we just switch and we just start sparring with them. And they have to accept it. They start sparring with us. That could be a really fun drill. I bet somebody's done that before. If you've done that, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to take credit for it. I love coming up with drills. I do. It's fun. Oh, it's Monday. So, whose episode's out today? Hey, find out. Oh. I don't want to do this hearing. I don't. It's the only way I'm going to get the other side of this car junk, but I don't want to. Nope. Library. Oh, yeah. Dr. Pandya is today. All right. Dr. Shauna Pandya. Now, I'm assuming... Oh, Gabe says they've been doing that kind of sparring drill for a while. Cool. Then I guess I won't steal credit for it. Dr. Shauna Pandya is one of the coolest people I've ever talked to. She's a Taekwondo black belt. She's an astronaut. Deep sea diver. And a doctor. This woman has done so many impressive things that we got into like maybe a third of the cool stuff that she does. And of course, at the core, at the foundation, however you want to look at it, one of the common threads as we talk is her experience in martial arts and how that has given her tools to succeed. Success in life with martial arts doesn't mean that you become a martial arts instructor necessarily. It can, but it doesn't have to. It can mean I'm a martial artist who uses my self-reliance, my discipline, etc. to do other things. If anybody knows anything about space programs, they're incredibly selective. You have to be a pretty remarkable person physically and intellectually, and she is. So check out that episode. Let me know what you think. Shout out to Leslie for managing to book that one. That was pretty impressive. We've been getting more women on the show, and I like that. I feel like women are underrepresented in a lot of industries, and I think martial arts is one of them. And unfortunately, a lot of the women that are claiming to be martial artists that are prominent, at least in social media, I watch them, and the majority of what they're presenting is that they're physically attractive, and then they happen to do martial arts, and that's not... If we ever put anything forward that's like that, somebody please check me on it, because that's not... We don't present men that way. I don't want us to present women that way. If somebody we bring on happens to be attractive, cool, but that's not why we're bringing them on, regardless of gender, regardless of what they've done, regardless of who they are. Actually, there may be an exception. If we had someone who was, say, a professional model, who was also a martial artist. Although we've had a few people on. I feel like we've had a couple guys on who model. So maybe that would be the exception. I'm just thinking, all the things that I wanted to get done yesterday are rolling through my head, and prep for this hearing took way longer than I planned on. My car is the cleanest it's been since it was new. Hours. I spent hours cleaning it. Quite a few hours. And that's okay. It needed to be done. Oh, and I found plenty of spots where it's rusting already. So, yay, car. One of the things I'll have to do this week is go. I've got a couple funky extra warranty, side warranty, and they cover everything from the wheels to basically anything but brakes and glass is covered. Those are the two major things. So I'm gonna bring it in and show them, and we're gonna document all this, and then if Mazda doesn't buy the car back, which I'm expecting that they will be forced to, then we've got a whole bunch of work that's got to get done. Won't cost me a nickel. Shouldn't have to happen in the first place, but at least it's covered. All right, questions. Let's see what y'all wrote in. I'm ready. It's time. I like looking back at the images that I take, the I don't know, the screenshot or whatever that YouTube uses for the thumbnail. There we go, the thumbnail image for the episodes. And ones where my hand's here and I'm making goofy faces. I enjoy those. And today we've got some things for Global Handwashing Day from Frank. I decided with this being a martial arts show that Conflict Resolution Day takes precedence. Oh, this past Thursday was also Global Handwashing Day. Okay, so we're going to use today as Handwashing Day. I agree. Conflict Resolution Day was more important. So number one, hand washing is often cited as a way of preventing coronavirus. What are some other keys to prevention? I temper all of this with the fact that, number one, I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I am not a researcher. I am not privy to the deepest, newest data. However, when I look at everything that is presented, and I'm not going to go, if you know anything about the show, I'm not going political at all. When I look at everything, the thing that seems very clear to me is the difference between not people who get it and don't get it, but people who get it and have severe symptoms and do not, is the presence or lack of vitamin D in their body. In most modern societies, we suffer from a horrendous vitamin D deficiency. And you might think, oh, vitamin D, it's not that big of a deal. I wish vitamin D was never named vitamin D. Vitamin D is so critical to the body that it should have been given a different name. But because we can ingest it and process it that way, and because at the time we didn't fully understand everything about it, it's vitamin D. What's the best way to get vitamin D? From the sun. Who, by evidence, is maybe suffering a bit more from coronavirus, from COVID-19? People of color. whose bodies are set up to not process vitamin D or to take in sunlight as readily as people who are pale, such as myself, people of color. The news has tried to suggest that that has to do with medical care. There really isn't much in the way of medical care that is impacting coronavirus. So, if you have the opportunity to, supplement with vitamin D, not in some kind of crazy way. I would do a little bit of research and maybe talk to your doctor as to how much. I take 5,000 IU, international units, per day. Maybe it's 6,000. I think I have. The bottle I take, it's 2,000 or 3,000 per pill, and I take 2 pills. But I also get outside as much as I can. Last Friday, I went for a walk. Went for a 4-mile walk. It was 70 degrees. Not super warm, but I took my shirt off anyway. The people on my road, I live 2 miles up a dirt road. The people on my road probably think I'm a weirdo or I'm trying to show off my body. I'm not. I'm just trying to soak up as much vitamin D as I can. Other ways. I'm not even going to talk about masks because it is impossible to talk about masks without it being viewed politically, which is a shame. I wear a mask when I am around other people, when I'm in public. I don't see any harm in it. Is it going to help? I don't know. Probably a little. Is it going to hurt? No. So I do it. Obviously, yeah. Washing your hands. Here's the funny thing. I see there's all this people who are rejecting coronavirus, and I feel the truth is always somewhere in the middle, right? Like we end up with these politicized views, and the truth is usually somewhere in between. So going on that, I find it interesting that people forget there are other illnesses out there. What about the flu or, salmonella? All these other things that we could be getting. Whether or not the coronavirus stops or a mask stops it, it stops other things. Washing your hands, generally a good idea. So do it. But if you can get outside, even a little bit, get some vitamin D. Vitamin D is critical. There is data that's come out of some countries that, to my knowledge, has received very little attention in the U.S. Very clearly tying COVID-19 to symptom severity to a vitamin D deficiency. And I believe in the next few years, maybe as a result of this, we will start to talk about how deficient in vitamin D we are. What is one thing you wish more people knew about coronavirus? At some point, we're all going to get it. Just like we all get the flu. The common cold is a coronavirus. We are. Are you sick? It's just a cold. That's coronavirus. We are so normalized to getting sick from coronavirus, or if we want to really say it in proper Latin, weary. Viruses wouldn't exist in Latin. Anyway. We are so used to getting sick from coronaviruses that we're dismissive of it, but not this one, because this one's different. But I think at some point, it'll make the rounds. We'll all, whether we build up antibodies or this particular strain dies off or what, I don't know. But it's going to be okay. That doesn't mean that it's okay now, but it's going to be okay. And we all have to find a balance in living our lives in a way that makes sense. Do I engage in behaviors that other people may find risky? Yeah. But I work hard to make sure that the behaviors I engage in don't put other people at risk. Martial arts is inherently risky. We kick each other, we punch each other, we throw each other around. I've broken bones. I've broken teeth. These are not strange outcomes from training. Life has risk. You can't eliminate risk. And I know people who are holed up inside and they don't leave the house. And not only are they not getting sunlight, they're not having contact with other people. They're not exercising. They're putting life on hold. And it makes me sad. It scares me for them. I'm nervous about what happens as we roll into winter and everybody is inside and other illnesses start making the rounds. When so many people have been, we'll say, even more vitamin D deficient than normal, because if they're outside, they're covering part of their face, and they're not outside as much because they're not around people. We can't take care of everyone, but we can take care of ourselves. We can find things that make sense for us. And we can do our own research. We can think logically. Here's a great example of in the middle. Okay. A mask, typical mask, regardless of the kind. Is it going to stop every particle of COVID-19 from passing through? No. So people say, oh, well then what's the point? They're not effective. Okay. Is it also going to restrict the volume and the rate of airflow coming out of your face? Meaning, can you breathe quite as well? Nope. It restricts it a little bit. Okay. So those, if I have it, those COVID-19 bugs aren't going to travel as far and as fast. So if I'm in a group of people, it's less likely that my breath ends up in their mouth. Is it going to make a significant impact? That's where I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical researcher. But if I look at it logically, it's going to have some impact that is above zero. So I couple that with, does it hurt me to wear a mask? No. So I'll do it. Is it likely to prevent me from getting it? It's not going to make it more likely, so I might as well. Are there people out there who have a hard time wearing a mask? Yeah. For legitimate and what some would call illegitimate reasons? Sure. Do I have a right to tell them to wear a mask? Yeah, it's where it starts to get a little sketchy. And I'm not going to, and that is where I'm not going to talk. Because that's a whole different thing. That becomes politicized. The moment you start telling people what they can and cannot do for themselves and with their own body, that gets close to or over the line of politics. So, what is martial arts? Or rather, what's self-defense? Self-defense is taking care of yourself. Protection. Self-defense. Worrying about you, making sure you have what you need to survive. If we look at this illness from the perspective of martial arts, there are a lot of things that we can do and should do to protect ourselves. What's part B of self-defense? Being in a good enough position to take care of the people around you. Yeah, first and foremost, that includes your family, your friends. But it should also include the people in your community. There are things you can do. There are things we can do that we should do that I hope you do. And even if washing your hands does nothing for coronavirus, wash your dang hands. Don't be gross. Wash your hands. You should wash your hands. Go check out that episode with Dr. Pandya. Let me know what you think. Very remarkable woman. And she's Canadian. One of the things that bums me out right now is I can't go to Canada. I would have loved to have spent some days in Montreal this summer. The more time I spend in Montreal, the more I like the city. It's a pretty remarkable place. But so is my backyard. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have feedback, let me know. Drop it below. I want to hear it. Leave something in the comment section after the show closes, and I'll talk about it tomorrow. Remember, we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, U.S. time, right here on YouTube. Catch it later as audio, or you can listen later as video. If you're new, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Check out the episodes of Martial Arts Radio, all the other things that we do. And if you want to support us, we've got a Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick, or use the code FIRSTCUT15 at whistlekick.com for 15% off all the cool stuff we got there. Thank you. I'm going to drink more coffee and wrap my head around this hearing. You know what's fun? It's at 9 a.m., which means I think the guy I'm up against, it's going to be his 6 a.m. So that's in my favor. All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Wish me luck. Bye. Peace.